From the dawn of man, the story of our species has been inextricably intertwined with violence. We've always sought ways to make ourselves stronger, faster, more deadly, and the tools of our trade, the weapons we've forged, tell a chilling tale of innovation. Each era, each conflict has birthed its own brand of horror. From crude clubs and sharpened stones to weapons that harness the very forces that bind atoms, the evolution of warfare is a grim march of progress. And understanding this evolution is more than just a morbid curiosity. It's about understanding ourselves. It's about recognizing the patterns of history, the cyclical nature of conflict, and the terrifying ingenuity that humans are capable of when faced with the prospect of destruction. So join me now as we embark on a journey through time, a journey through the battlefields of history to examine the deadliest weapons of war.
Imagine, if you will, the prehistoric world. A world where survival was a daily struggle, where danger lurked behind every shadow. In this world, the spear emerged not just as a tool, but as an extension of man himself. Crafted from wood and stone, later honed with metal, the spear was simple, yet brutally effective. It extended man's reach, allowing him to strike from a distance, to bring down prey larger than himself, to defend against rivals. It was a weapon born of necessity, shaped by countless generations of experience. From the plains of Africa to the forests of Europe, the spear reigned supreme. It was the weapon of choice for countless cultures, its design evolving, adapting to the demands of the hunt and the battlefield. It was a symbol of power, of primal strength, its legacy etched deep within our collective memory. And as we'll see, the spear's influence would continue to be felt even as more sophisticated weapons emerged. Its basic design, the lethal simplicity of a pointed stick, would echo through the ages. But man's ingenuity didn't end with the spear. No, we sought new ways to project our power, to strike from even greater distances. And so, from the mists of prehistory emerged the bow and arrow. Here was a weapon that truly revolutionized warfare, that redefined the very nature of combat. No longer were we limited to hand-to-hand confrontations, to the brutal immediacy of the spear. The bow allowed us to kill from afar, to rain death upon our enemies from distances they could scarcely comprehend. Imagine the terror of facing a volley of arrows, the whistling death raining down from the sky. The bow wasn't just a weapon, it was a psychological force multiplier, capable of breaking morale and turning the tide of battle. And no weapon exemplifies this more than the English longbow. On battlefields like Agincourt, the longbow proved its devastating power. English archers, masters of their craft, unleashed a storm of arrows, decimating the French ranks and etching their names in the annals of military history.
As civilizations rose and empires clashed, a new breed of weapon emerged from the forge. A weapon that would become synonymous with warriors and warfare itself, the sword. More than just a tool of destruction, the sword became a symbol of power, of status, of the warrior ethos itself. From the sweeping arcs of the Japanese katana to the brutal efficiency of the European longsword, each culture imbued their blades with their own unique philosophies and fighting styles. The katana, with its curved blade and razor-sharp edge, was as much a work of art as a weapon, wielded by the samurai with deadly grace and precision. The longsword, wielded with two hands for maximum force, was a brutal instrument of war, capable of cleaving through armor and bone. It was the weapon of knights and men-at-arms, a symbol of chivalry and brutality intertwined. These blades, forged in fire and honed to a razor's edge, were more than just tools of war. They were extensions of the warrior's will, imbued with history, legend, and the weight of countless battles. But while swords clashed on the battlefield, another weapon was quietly changing the face of warfare. The crossbow, a descendant of the bow, but with a crucial difference, a mechanical mechanism that allowed for greater power and accuracy. Imagine the impact of this innovation. No longer were archers limited by their own strength and skill. The crossbow allowed even untrained soldiers to deliver deadly force, its bolts capable of punching through armor that would laugh off an arrow. In sieges, the crossbow proved particularly effective. From atop castle walls, crossbowmen could rain down a deadly hail of bolts, picking off attackers with chilling precision. Defenders could hold out longer, attackers could inflict heavier casualties. The crossbow tipped the scales of war, and as with any technological advancement in warfare, the crossbow spurred a deadly arms race. Armor grew thicker, tactics evolved, and the very nature of combat continued its inexorable shift.
The late medieval period wasn't just a time of knights and castles, it was a time of change. The kind of change that explodes, literally. A new force was emerging, one that would shatter the serenity of castle walls. By the 14th century, the deafening roar of cannons joined the symphony of destruction. Stone walls crumbled under the assault of iron cannonballs. The landscape of warfare was changing, with the earth-shuddering power of gunpowder knocking at the gate. But the revolution wasn't confined to the siege lines. While cannons were busy redrawing the maps of Europe, a smaller, more personal revolution was taking place on the battlefield. Foot soldiers, once armed with swords, pikes, and bows, were about to receive a deadly new companion, the handgun. These early handguns, matchlocks, flintlocks, wheel locks, were a far cry from the precision instruments of later centuries. Cumbersome, slow to reload, and often temperamental, they nonetheless represented a sea change in individual firepower. Imagine the battlefield chaos, the smoke, the clash of steel. Now picture a weapon that could, however slowly, deliver a lead ball with lethal force at a distance. It wasn't always pretty. It wasn't always reliable. But it was a taste of things to come. The age of the missile had truly begun. The personal duel, the clash of swords, these would linger. But the writing was on the wall, etched in the smoke of gunpowder. The future of warfare, for better or worse, would be defined by the gun.
The evolution of warfare is often a story of incremental changes, refinements that gradually tip the balance of power. But every so often, a technological leap occurs, a seismic shift that rewrites the rules of engagement. Such was the case with the development of the rifle. Before the rifle, muskets ruled the battlefield. Inaccurate, short-ranged weapons that relied on mass volleys to compensate for their shortcomings. But the introduction of rifling changed everything. By carving spiral grooves into the inside of a gun barrel, gunsmiths discovered a way to impart spin to the projectile. This seemingly simple innovation had a profound effect. The spinning bullet, stabilized by its rotation, flew farther, straighter, and with greater accuracy. Battles that were once chaotic, close-range affairs were now fought at a distance, with individual soldiers wielding the power to deliver death with pinpoint precision. The impact on military tactics was immediate and profound. Linear formations designed for massed musket fire became death traps for armies facing rifled muskets. The age of the sharpshooter had arrived, and with it, a new era of battlefield carnage. If the rifle was a game changer, then the machine gun was a game breaker. Imagine the sheer firepower unleashed by these mechanical marvels. The machine gun, a devilish symphony of gears, belts, and fire, had arrived. In the trenches of World War I, its true potential for horror was realized. Entire battalions were cut down, their futures extinguished in a hail of machine gun fire. The machine gun changed everything. World War I quickly descended into a bloody stalemate. Millions faced artillery barrages and machine gun fire. Then emerged a new weapon, the tank. Clumsy and unreliable, they represented a radical departure. They could withstand machine gun fire and navigate the terrain. Early tanks hinted at the future of warfare. While tanks transformed land warfare, another revolution took place in the skies. Man's dream of flight became a reality with terrifying implications for warfare. Airplanes evolved into weapons of war. Initially used for reconnaissance, their deadly potential soon became clear. Bombs rained down, making cities vulnerable. Aircraft like the B-17 and Avro Lancaster ushered in strategic bombing. Air power shaped the course of conflicts. The world changed forever in the summer of 1945. We had cracked open the very heart of the atom. For the first time, we held the power to end civilization itself. On August 6, 1945, Enola Gay took off from Tinian. Its payload, Little Boy, targeted Hiroshima, Japan. At 8:15 a.m., the bomb detonated with the force of 15,000 tons of TNT. Tens of thousands were vaporized instantly. The dawn of the atomic age cast a long, dark shadow over the world. The unimaginable destruction unleashed upon Japan ushered in a new era, the Cold War. The United States and the Soviet Union, former allies against Nazi Germany, now found themselves locked in a terrifying standoff. Fear and paranoia became the currency of this new world order. Both superpowers raced to build bigger, more powerful bombs. The hydrogen bomb, 1,000 times more powerful than the bombs dropped on Japan, became the ultimate symbol of this terrifying new reality. To deliver these apocalyptic weapons, both sides constructed vast arsenals of intercontinental ballistic missiles, or ICBMs. These fearsome rockets could cross continents in minutes, carrying nuclear payloads capable of obliterating entire cities. The doctrine of mutually assured destruction, or MAD, became the terrifying logic that held the world hostage. The Cold War was a time of constant tension, of near misses, and of the ever-present fear that one wrong move could unleash unimaginable destruction. The world held its breath for decades, living under the shadow of the mushroom cloud. The seeds of modern missile technology were sown in World War II. Nazi Germany developed the V-2 rocket, the world's first ballistic missile. It rained terror on London and other Allied cities. The V-2's legacy extended beyond Ubuntu. It laid the groundwork for ballistic and cruise missiles. Cruise missiles fly at lower altitudes, hugging the terrain. The Tomahawk missile became a symbol of American military might. The Cold War may be over, but the threat posed by ballistic and cruise missiles is more potent than ever. No longer the sole domain of superpowers, these weapons have proliferated at an alarming rate. From North Korea to Iran, from Pakistan to India, more and more nations now possess the ability to launch these devastating weapons. The technology has become more accessible, the materials easier to obtain. This has led to a dangerous new reality, one in which regional conflicts have the potential to escalate into devastating missile exchanges. The specter of nuclear proliferation further complicates this already volatile mix. The international community has struggled to contain this spread of missile technology. Treaties and sanctions have had limited success. The pursuit of these weapons is often seen as a matter of national pride, a way for smaller nations to project power and deter potential aggressors. The genie, it seems, is out of the bottle. The question now becomes, can we find a way to manage this new reality, to prevent the unthinkable from happening? Or will the 21st century be defined by the terrifying consequences of a new missile age? World War I, the trenches of Europe. A new kind of horror is unleashed on the battlefields. Warfare now enters the realm of chemistry, with weapons that defy the natural order. Chemical weapons marked a dark turn in human conflict. Imagine the terror of soldiers encountering this new weapon. A greenish-yellow cloud, a silent, invisible killer. Chlorine gas attacked the respiratory system, turning lungs into liquid. Men drowned in the open air, gasping for breath. Phosgene, mustard gas, new horrors of the trenches. Mustard gas inflicted agonizing burns. The psychological impact was immense. The development of chemical weapons continued. Nerve agents like sarin and VX became a terrifying reality. Of all the weapons ever devised by humankind, biological weapons might be the most ethically abhorrent. The very idea of harnessing disease, of turning the natural world against our enemies, is unsettling. The use of biological weapons goes back centuries. Early examples include catapulting plague-ridden corpses over city walls. As our understanding of biology advanced, so did the potential for devastating attacks. In the 20th century, several nations engaged in biological weapons programs. The Japanese conducted horrific experiments on prisoners of war. The United States and the Soviet Union amassed huge stockpiles. The threat of biological warfare is silent, invisible, and indiscriminate. A single weaponized pathogen could trigger a global pandemic.
Warfare has always been about gaining an advantage over the enemy. In the modern era, no development has changed warfare more than drones. Rudimentary drones were used for target practice as far back as World War I, but it's in recent decades that drone technology has truly taken off. Sophisticated sensors and remote control have made drones ubiquitous on modern battlefields. The Predator drone, first deployed in the 90s, became a symbol of this new era. Armed with Hellfire missiles, it struck targets with precision, keeping pilots safe. But the Predator was just the beginning. Larger drones like the Reaper followed, carrying greater payloads and loitering longer. Drones have changed the calculus of conflict, raising ethical and legal questions. The battlefields of the 21st century aren't just confined to land, sea, and air. There's a whole new domain of warfare emerging, one where the weapons aren't bullets and bombs, but lines of code. This is the shadowy world of cyber warfare, where nation-states and even non-state actors engage in digital espionage and disruption. As our reliance on computer networks has grown, so too has our vulnerability to attack. Today, everything from power grids to military systems are at risk. Imagine a nation's power grid going dark, its banks paralyzed. Cyber attacks can be launched from anywhere, making it difficult to identify the perpetrators.
From the crude spears of our earliest ancestors to the terrifying power of nuclear weapons, the history of humanity is linked to the development of deadly weapons. Each innovation in warfare brings potential for both progress and destruction. The weapons we've explored are more than just tools of war. They're reflections of our ingenuity, fears, and capacity for good and evil. They remind us of the destructive power we possess and the importance of wielding it responsibly. The development of weapons, particularly those of mass destruction, has forced us to confront uncomfortable truths about ourselves. It's challenged us to find ways to coexist peacefully. The creation of international organizations like the United Nations and the establishment of arms control treaties are testaments to our understanding that unchecked proliferation is unthinkable. As technology advances, we face new challenges and ethical dilemmas. The future of warfare, like humanity itself, remains unwritten. It's up to us to decide what path we will take. What role will technology play in shaping our future? Will we use our knowledge for good or ill? These are not easy questions, but they are questions we must ask ourselves. And now I turn it over to you. What do you think are the most impactful weapons in history? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you're interested in delving deeper into the annals of history, be sure to subscribe and stay tuned for more.